Barakata Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Ruach Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is What Should I Do? And this is centered around a question that a sister left on the comment board of the video that was done yesterday. It was entitled, it was a response to the 12 tribe chart video the Elder Apostle did concerning the 12 tribes. You know, there's always been a big controversy with that sign. The sister's name is Gianna Trayon. And this was a comment / question that was put, or that was written earlier today. And as I read it, you know, I answered the sister, and I told her that Lord's will, you know, I'll do a lesson on it. You know, I can't really remember exactly what I said, but I gave her scripture, which we're going to read. And then I told her, I believe I said that Lord's will, I'll do a lesson on it or something like that. I can't really remember. Gina Trayon. She wrote, "Hello, Apostle. I know this is off topic, but does an Israelite woman, what does an Israelite woman do if her man is wicked and he knows the truth, but he still smokes weed? And I understand the man is over his wife's, but he's been using it as like nothing I say, not trying to usurp authority. Really matters when it's something serious, not pretty. I only been in its truth for like 3 months. I just want to be in order, but my husband makes it hard. Hearing this word made me change my harlot ways. Please, Apostle, can you do a lesson on it if you will? Sorry for the long comment. Just been quiet because I don't talk to anybody about this, because I know it's not wise as a woman to talk to other people about this, because it'll cause contention, and my ex-friends be like, girl, leave that nigga and get someone else. Well, your friends are demons, because that's not what the scriptures say. See, we're going to get into it, but what I want to do is I want to read up above. We're going to go to 1 Corinthians 7 chapter. We're going to try to get through as much of this chapter as possible and hit on other scriptures, Lord's will, concerning a woman's behavior and, you know, things of that nature. Now, the quick and short answer to the whole thing is, if you have a man dealing with the sisters that does not believe and he pleases to dwell with you, then stay with the man, you know. And you know, the sister says she's been in this thing for about 3 or 4 months. I know that he's starting to see some changes and some, you know, different ways in that this woman is carrying herself. And after a while, it may pique his interest, and he might say, you know what, let me delve a little more, or let me take this a little more serious, or let me take this a lot more serious, you know. So my suggestion to this sister, as the scriptures say, don't leave your husband and just keep doing what you've been doing, you know, to the best of your ability, you know, and pray to the Lord about it. You know, you probably did already, but pray again. You might have to go on a fast, you know, maybe the Lord will turn him around. But if not, you know, as we read further down in Corinthians, you know, the Spirit might have you to save him, you know, just based off of you being a woman of the Lord, you know, because that goes on a lot. You know, you have Israelites that, you know, run into these women that have unbelieving husbands, whether they're Muslims or Christian or whatever they may be, and because those men are not in the truth, the individuals that call themselves in the truth say, hey, sister, you should leave that dude and just get with me, you know. I believe in it. That's wicked, man. You know, the scriptures say, whatsoever the Most High put together, let no man put asunder. You know, so there's a reason why you're with the man that you're with now, because the Heavenly Father paired you up with that man. You know, so just stick with it, you know, stick with him and pray to the Lord, and eventually the Lord could change his mind, or the Lord might get rid of him, or the Lord might save him through you, through your belief. All right, so let's get into it. And, you know, see, there's a lot of issues and situations that go on that are not usually addressed. Because for the most part, when the man and the woman deal with each other, the scriptures say no man knows the way between the man and his mate. So we're not marriage counselors, you know. We're not here because that's what Jake does. They'll go to these different groups and they'll, you know, ask about their marital problems and all that. And these other individuals, they'll do that to get the people to follow them, give money, whatever the case is, you know. But when it comes to things that are biblical, we deal with the issue, because that is a very critical point that the sister is asking. You know, she has an unbelieving husband. He still smokes cigarettes and whatever, or weed or whatever it was, you know, and, you know, what should she do? And the short answer to that is stay with the man, pray to the Lord, and maybe, Lord willing, in the long run, you know, the Lord might have the man turn around. It's all in the hands of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. So let's get with 1 Corinthians 7:1. Let's start off there. It says, now concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Why? Because in the time that we're living in, see, a woman, whether she's shamefaced or you know, big loud mouth, whatever, women are high maintenance. You know, regardless of whether they say it or not. And what I mean by high maintenance, not just that you got to go and buy them stuff, but women need time. They don't understand the concept of a man of the Lord, you know, dealing, you know, and not being able to spend as much time with them, especially if they were with that man before he learned about the truth. They don't understand that concept. This is why you have many different marriages that break up when you have men that are truckers or policemen or detectives, you know, or different other jobs that take up the majority of the man's time. Because women need that time, you know. They're not like men. They're not able to adapt like men do, you know. So this is why a lot of times that happens. But when a man comes into the truth, the Lord brings a man into the truth, the majority of his time is devoted to teaching. So you're not going to have the time to spend with your woman or your children as much as you would like to, you know, because we're on a mission here. So that's what the Apostle Paul said, you know, when it comes to this matter, it's best that a man don't touch a woman. I mean, in other words, that it's best if a man does not have a relationship with a woman, especially a man of the Lord. But every man can't receive that. You know, Yahushua said, all men cannot receive the same, but them to whom it is given. You know? So it's not every case, especially a younger brother. You know, when you get older, you have a little more control, you know, so you don't have those desires as often. But when you're younger and your hormones are jumping, you gotta have that woman, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know, as long as she ain't married. So it goes on to say, nevertheless, to avoid fornication or adultery, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Yeah, so to avoid adultery, instead of having a man sleeping with another man's woman, you know, or having a married woman sleeping with another man. All right, it says, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. Yeah, because that's due benevolence is dealing with, you know, the duties of marriage, you know, because marriage is brought together in the total union once the man and the woman have sex. And after a period of time, you know, in some cases, men and women get bored of each other. They don't want to have sex anymore, but you still have to provide the duty of marriage to this woman, and vice versa, right? It says, the wife hath not power over her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband hath not power of his own body, but the wife. In this society, you know, the women, the way they get you is like, you know what, I'm not going to give you no sex. You know, they'll starve you out of sex a week, 2 weeks, a month, you know, 2 months. Meanwhile, they're freaking off on somebody else. This is total wickedness. You know, the only way that you can abstain from sex in a relationship is if you both consent to it. You may want to go on a fast, you know, pray. You're trying to, you know, resolve a certain issue, or you want to, you know, show this, whatever the case may be. you know, and you both consent to it, you're praying about it, you know, and it'll be for a period of time. Because one thing is, once those hormones start jumping, you know, men and women have needs. You see? So it goes on to say, defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time. Yeah, so defrauding each other, meaning you holding out on the sex, man or woman. When you go back to the law states that, you know, the duty of marriage, you're not supposed to diminish. You know, if you have two women, one you love, the other one you're not really that into, you still got to provide her, you know, with the rod, you know, because that is your wife, and that is your duty. It's your duty to please that booty, Salakia. It says, defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that you may give yourself to fasting and prayer. See, and come together again. Yeah, because this is only supposed to be for a certain period of time. It might just, whatever the reason is. It says that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. Yeah, because when you go for a period of time without sex, after a while you need it. And if a woman ain't getting it in this society, you know what's going to happen. She's going to go to another dude and lay with him, and what happens? She gave herself over to Satan. Now she done committed adultery, all because the man was holding out on her. See, that's why it's supposed to be with consent on both parties for a certain period of time. It says, but I speak this by permission and not of commandment. Yeah, because sometimes you're going to give certain judgments where there's no law on it. You know, certain things are common sense. But just because you give an opinion on it or a suggestion doesn't mean that it's not of the Heavenly Father. What did the Lord tell Peter? He said, you know, whatsoever you shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. And not everything is written in spades. That's why sometimes individuals come to a point where they have to make a decision, and if it's not written about, or if they never seen anyone, or they don't have an example of it, they get lost in the sauce, so to speak. You know, sometimes you just got to make decisions that may not be in the scriptures, but it's right. And this is why a lot of people have a problem with the Apostle Paul, because sometimes he would give his suggestions because there was no law written about that particular situation. So he was given a judgment being a man of wisdom. When King Solomon told those two women to cut the baby in half and give one half to the other, is that in the law? No, that was not in the law. But that was a judgment that he came up through the Spirit to suss out which one was the real mother. But that wasn't written in the scriptures. But we still reverence King Solomon. So why don't we reverence, why don't some of you guys reverence the Apostle Paul? He was making judgments as a man of the Lord, and he is an apostle, or was an apostle. It says, for I would that all men were even as I myself, because the Apostle Paul was a eunuch for the kingdom of heaven. And that's why he said that, because he saw and witnessed many times relationships between men and women. The sweet, the sour, you know, shit goes sideways. Men, you know, being troubled in the mind because of their trouble and strife. That's an English term for wife, trouble and strife, wife. So they're going to have problems, but that comes with the territory, you know, and that's why the Apostle Paul spoke about that. It says, for I would that all men were even as I myself, but every man hath his proper gift of the Most High. Yeah, so not everyone can do that. Not everyone is able to have that discipline, you know, to abstain from having a woman. So if that's the case, do what you got to do. You don't sin, as it's going to say later on. One after this manner, another after that. Yeah, because some men became eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven. Some men were made eunuchs by men because they might have went to war and got their private member cut off. You know, some men actually just made a vow to the Lord that they're not going to have sex with a woman till they get to the kingdom. It all depends, you know, on your vow to the Lord. And it all depends on if you are able to contain and keep that vow. Because the scriptures say, better it is that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay. Suffer not your mouth to cause you to sin, pretty much. It says, I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I. In other words, if you don't have a woman, If a woman don't have a man, it's better for them to abide the way the Apostle Paul is as a eunuch and not have, not be involved in that. It says, but if they cannot contain, meaning their desire, the sexual desire is more intense than their discipline, right? It says, but if they cannot contain, let them marry. For it is better to marry than to burn. In other words, burn doesn't mean burn in hell, because that's what them Christians will teach you, them wacky-tacky Christians. It means burn. You know what it is when them hormones are jumping. And you, hey, let's just keep it 100. You get horny, It's a burning desire to release that. You see? Men and women. So that's what the Apostle Paul said. It's better to marry, better to have sex than to burn, than to have that burning desire inside of you. That the only way that it could be released is through sex. Yeah, everything is in the scriptures. Everything is laid out in spades, man. It says, and unto the married I command. This is the ones that are engaged in a marriage. It's a man and a woman dealing with each other. Yet not I, but the Lord. See, let not the wife depart from her husband, because in this society, like those demonic friends of hers, which are not friends, are telling her, look, don't you just leave that, go get you somebody else, somebody that's better for you, pretty much promoting her to be an adulteress, a harlot. And that's and a lot of these women that give these suggestions to their friends, a lot of them don't have men, they can't keep a man. And when they see a woman that's happy with another man, even if they're their friends, they want to make them miserable like they're miserable. That's what they'll tell them. Leave that man. Then she leaves the man and she finds herself more miserable because the Lord connected you with that man, and now you're in the company of miserable hoes, and you be in the next one. You see? Because misery loves company. That's a saying. It says, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried. So if the woman leaves the man, she ain't supposed to be getting with another man, especially if that man is alive. The only way this woman is free from her husband, as it states in the law, as it states in the scriptures, is if the husband that she's with currently dies. That's when she's freed from the law of her husband, and she could go marry another man and not be a harlot or an adulteress. But if that man is still alive, she's not supposed to be dealing with no other man. So if you have this bullshit that Esau calls irreconcilable differences, where you can't be around each other anymore, guess what? The woman has to remain unmarried. She can't get with a man unless that man that she split from ends up dying. Then she's freed, and then she could go deal with another man. And as the Apostle Paul said, pretty much preferably someone in the Lord. All right? It says, but if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband. See? She's supposed to be reconciled to her husband, not go jumping on another rod, or as they call it, the cock carousel. And let not the husband put away his wife. Yeah. Because you had a lot of wickedness going on too with the men. They'll have a woman, they'll pop it and just throw it to the curb, making that woman become a harlot, because she's going to have desires afterwards. And this is why when we read in the book of 1 Timothy, the 5th chapter, this is the Apostle Paul giving judgment on widows. He said the best thing for a widow to do is, if she's over the 60 years or older, then she can devote her life to the Lord, Yahweh Shai. But if they're under 60, they shouldn't devote their life to the Lord, because under 60, women still have those, even over 60, women have those desires. But once you get to around 60, you have more control over your desires. But prior to that, especially young women in their 20s and 30s, their hormones are jumping constantly. You see? So that's why the Apostle Paul said, if you're in that case, as a young woman that's a widow, don't devote yourself to the Lord. Get another man, so that man can scratch that itch. All right? Because if not, you'd say you're going to devote yourself to the Lord, and then you get that scratch, and then what happens? You get with a man, now your vow is tainted. So it says, but to the rest speak I, not the Lord. See, he's given a judgment based off of wisdom, because there's no law on certain things. He says, if any brother hath a wife that believeth not, see, so this is dealing with a man that has a wife that doesn't believe, like Nate and them, they made a decree years ago. I don't know if they're still upholding it, that if a brother has a wife that is a non-believer, they have a certain period of time to convert that woman. If they can't convert that woman, they got to cut her off. That was total wickedness. So now the men that cut their wives off, guess what? That woman gonna go get with another man. And what do you think she's gonna be? She's gonna be an adulteress. And the man that did that made her commit adultery. And the leaders that pushed that, that blood is gonna be on them. See? So if you have a brother that has, it says, but to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, meaning they're into each other, let him not put her away. Yeah, just because she don't believe, you can't put her away. If you want to be with her, hey, nothing wrong with that. And it goes on to say, and the woman which hath a husband that believeth not, as the question that the sister asked, she has an unbelieving husband. He smokes weed, he does this, he does that, he does the other. You know, he doesn't want to come into this. Well, you can't force him. But guess what? And the woman which hath a husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. See? So let her, if he pleased to dwell, let her not leave him. And this is the next point. I'm going to read this, then I'm going to jump to another precept real quick to nail home another point. So it goes on to say, for the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife. So if you're a believing woman and you have an unbelieving husband, guess what? The Lord can sanctify your husband through your belief. Right? It says, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband, else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. Why are they holy? Because you have one of the two that is a believer, which covers the rest. And this is one of the only times where a woman's belief can cover her husband, because for the most part it's the husband that really is over the woman, right? So now, building off on that, I'm going to come back. We're going to read a couple of those verses again. I'm going to come back to it, but I want to go here to 1 Peter, because like the sister said, she says she's been in this truth for about 3 or 4 months, and she's changed her life around, and that's a short period of time. So you give it a little more time, and he's going to start noticing more changes about you. Maybe not right away, but he's going to start noticing more changes about you. Excuse me. And after a while, it may start to pique his interest. You know, just the way you carry yourself, your conversations, the way that you've changed, the way you dress, you know, the things that you used to do before you don't do anymore. And he's going to look at that and consider, say, damn, you know, it must be something about this that she's into, that, you know, she's just totally just changed her ways. Because right now, 3 months, 4 months, is that he probably think, oh, that's just a passing phase, you know. But after a while, he's going to be like, I don't know, it's something about this. So this is 1 Peter 3:1. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any, meaning any man, obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives. See? So in other words, he's seeing a change in this woman. You know, she went from smoking blunts, you know, and hanging out and doing all kind of madness to dressing like a hoe, you know, to not smoking anymore, you know, not hanging out anymore, not wearing, you know, these scantily clothes that she used to wear. You know, he's listening to her conversation. Her conversation is more spiritual. And he's just like, man. And after a while, it's going to pique his interest. It says, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear. Yeah. So they're going to behold that conversation that you have. And that could be the deciding factor if the Lord is going to turn that individual or not. Whose adorning, let it not be the outward adorning of plaiting the hair, and of wearing of gold, and of putting on of apparel. Yeah, because women love to dress. You know, but in this society, the way women dress, it tells you in the book of Isaiah, the 3rd chapter. They dress like straight up hoes. You know, they're value is centered around, you know, how much of their curves they can advertise, you know. And it goes on to say, but let it be the hidden man of the heart, meaning in your spirit, and that which is not corruptible, see, which is the spirit, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit. And he's going to notice that, which is in the sight of the Most High of great price. So this is a great thing in the sight of the Lord, when a woman turns her life around in the truth and starts to walk as a woman of the Lord should, as women were intended to walk, you know. And trust me, people are going to see that. Your friends are going to talk shit about you. After a while, you ain't going to have those friends, you know, but you'll make new friends. And these new friends will have the same mindset that you have. See? Because it's, in this society, Jake, no matter what, if you winning in this side, Jake always has that crab in the barrel analogy about them, always trying to bring you down. When you come into the truth and they see the way that you conduct yourself, they're going to want to tear that down. Whether it be man or woman, you know, your so-called friends. That's why you cut those people off. Because you're not going to be able to roll with them after a while. You're not going to be able to, you know, move around them, because they're going to be looking at you, yo, man, what's up with you, man? You changed, man. What's up with that? You know? So it goes on to say, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. And that doesn't mean that a woman has to go around calling a brother Lord. I mean, if you want to, you could do that. But that's not a thing that you have to do. I mean, if you want to, you could do that, but you don't have to. Like at the IUIC, that, you know, they have the women have to call the men Lord. There's nothing wrong with that, but you don't have to do that. It says, whose daughters you are, as long as you do well and are not afraid with any amazement. See? Then it goes on to say, likewise, you husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel. And that's the truth. A woman is the weaker vessel, but in this society, they done gassed her up to believe that she is strong black woman, strong woman in general. No, you're the weaker vessel. This is why the serpent, which was an actual man, came to Eve. He didn't go to Adam. Who did he deceive first? The woman. Because she's the weaker vessel. She's more prone to be tricked with slick words. It says, as unto the weaker vessel, and being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. Yeah, because at the end of the day, when the Lord puts a man and a woman together, that is a unit. And you want to work as a unit. You don't want to work against each other. You want to work as a unit. You know? So let's go back to 1 Corinthians 7:12. But to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. See? Then it goes on to say, this is for the sister, and the woman which hath a husband that believeth not. And if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. It goes on to say, for the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. Why? Because the Most High, which put that union together, whether the man believes or the woman believes, and the other one doesn't believe, the Lord put that union together, and he will make it holy. He will make it clean. It says, but if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. But if they want to leave, let them go. There's nothing that you could do about that. You know? So it goes on to say, a brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases, but the Most High hath called us to peace. For what? Now listen to this. It says, for what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband? It says, or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife? Because remember, the sanctification comes through the believing partner, whether it be the husband or the wife. And the unbelieving wife or the unbelieving husband can be saved through the believing husband or the believing wife. It says, but as the Most High hath distributed to every man, as the Lord hath called everyone, so let him walk, and so ordain I in all churches. Yeah. because you can't just have women just leaving men and men just leaving women, because that creates a confused situation. You know, that's nothing but straight up abominable adultery, man. And that goes on a lot in these Israelite, these different Israelite groups. Have a lot of dudes popping chicks and just kicking them to the curb. You know? Now, if you happen to get with a woman, she's just a straight up demon, and she's trying to pull you away from the truth, and no matter what you try to do to try to work with the woman, she's just impossible, and you gotta move on, because it's a detriment to the health of your spiritual health. Then hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. But that's a decision that you have to make, because at the end of the day, whatever decisions you make is a decision that you have to live with. And that's why shouldn't be no men out there trying to give advice to a brother how to deal with his woman, or to a woman how to deal with her man, because that's straight up out of order. No man knows the way between a man and his maid. That's their business. Because you could say, oh brother, do this, that, and the other, and then he end up reconciling with the woman, and guess what? You're gonna just be sitting out like this, you know. Leave them situations alone. If you're involved in something like that, leave that shit alone. I hope nobody's GMS is involved in that, because if we get wind of it, man, there's gonna be problems. It says, is any man called being circumcised? Let him not. This going into something else. Let's jump down to the hold on for a second. Let's jump down to (25). Now concerning virgins or young women. Oh, this is one thing I wanted to say. I thought about earlier. Pastor did a video. I'm trying to think of the name of the video. Our elder Pastor did a video in where he mentioned the woman that was brought to King David. And the scripture in Kings mentioned that this woman was a damsel. All right. And Apostle Tar said she could have been 12, 13, 14, something along those lines. I can't really remember exactly how he worded it. And that is absolutely correct. Because when we go to the New Testament, right, I want to try to see if I can find this one particular verse. Just bear with me. Right, Mark 5:42. And straightway the damsel arose, called the woman a what? A damsel. And straightway the damsel arose and walked, for she, the damsel, was of the age of 12 years. See, and they were astonished with a great astonishment. So the scriptures addressed this woman as a damsel, and she was 12 years old. So the scriptures also addressed the woman that was brought to King David as a damsel. So she was about 12 years old. Let's just go to Mark 5:42, see what that says. All right, for you guys that get your panties in a bunch because an older man, deals with a younger woman. Your mind is all messed up, man. Your mind's not right. The old Lahabian proverb. All right, let's see what this says for damsel here. Damsel. Kodazion. A girl, damsel, maiden. Yeah, which is a young woman. All right, it's a young woman. I just wanted to, throw that in for added measure. Just a little something that came to mind, and, just wanted to share that with you, brothers. So, going back, 1 Corinthians 7:25. Now concerning virgins or young women, damsels, I have no commandment of the Lord, yet I give my judgment as one that hath obtained mercy of the Lord to be faithful. Right, so he's letting you know that he's doing this Even though there's no law on it, he's doing it because he's been inspired through wisdom by the Lord. And he's a man of wisdom, a man of counsel, a man, excuse me, a man of judgment. Salaki for that. All right. It says, I suppose, therefore, that this is good for the present distress. I say that it is good for a man so to be. In other words, to be without a woman. Art thou bound unto a wife? See, do you have a woman? Seek not to be loose. Don't look to be set apart from that woman. See, it says, art thou loose from a wife? Seek not a wife. Yeah, because there's problems. Oh yeah, you get the sex or you get food if she knows how to cook. You know, I mean, today, man, it's, what I'm gonna say, I really don't want to say it because most women don't even do that. You know, clean the house. You know, wash your clothes and do all of that stuff. You know. But the thing is, with all of that comes problems, arguments. You know what I mean? So it says, but if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, a young woman, she hath not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. See? Because the Apostle Paul, through his experiences of life and seeing men and women dealing with each other, he came to that conclusion that you're going to have problems in the flesh. Because somehow, some way, something's going to come up. You're going to have disagreements. You're going to have arguments. You're going to be mad at each other. Blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And that's what the Apostle Paul was saying. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It says, it remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none. Yeah, because you don't have the time to spend with a woman, and a woman needs time. And when a woman doesn't get no time, guess what? She's going to seek it somewhere else. Because they don't want to admit it, but a woman craves attention. And if you don't give her attention and somebody else gives her attention, guess what? She's going to seek to the other person that's giving her the attention. That's just what it is. It says, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not, and they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried, see, careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. Yeah, because you're focusing your time and your energy more on doing the work of the Lord, because you're freed from a wife. And you're able to focus your attention more on the Lord. But as the Apostle Paul said, if you're married, you ain't doing that wrong. You ain't sinning. But, you're not going to be able to devote, all of your time to the Lord. Because there's going to be some times where you're going to have to devote to your wife. Then it goes on to say, but he that is married careth for the things of the world, how he may please his wife. See? There is difference also between a wife, meaning a woman that's married, that's getting sex, and a virgin, meaning a young woman that hasn't had sex yet. The unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, see, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. Yeah, because vice versa. That's why the Apostle Paul said of the young widows not to devote their life to the Lord until they get to the age of 60 and over. Because you're still going to have those desires. It says, and this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you or a trap upon you, but for that which is comely, and that you may attend upon the Lord without distraction. Yeah. But there's a way to go about it. It says, but if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely towards his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age, because men and women were promised to each other, and if she passed the flower of her age, meaning she gets her period, and need so require, meaning needs sex, let him do what he will, he sinneth not. Let them marry, let them have sex. Because now she's a woman now. But in this society, they call people pedophiles, they call them this, that, and the other. Because the Western mind is fucked, It's clogged up and calcified with this modern way of thinking, Because when you go to the East, there's still people over there that practice some of these ancient customs. And they don't have a problem. If you talk to them, they're not going to get their panties in a bunch and start, calling you all kinds of names. What's wrong with you? You were brought up wrong. No, they're not going to talk like that because they have these customs and traditions and laws that go back to the ancient world. Unlike this raggedy ass demonic system in the West. It says, nevertheless, he that standeth steadfast in his heart, having no necessity, like the Apostle Paul, but hath power over his own will. See, your desires, your will. Have that discipline, and have so decreed in his heart that he will keep his virgin, doeth well. Right. So in other words, he's just gonna be a eunuch. It says, so then he that giveth her in marriage doeth well, but he that giveth her not in marriage doeth even better. Or doeth better. Why? Because he will serve the Lord without distraction. But every man cannot receive the same. It says the wife is bound by the law as long as her husband liveth. See? But if her husband be dead, she is at liberty to be married to whom she will, only in the Lord. Because if you have an unbelieving husband and he dies, if you desire to be married again, to have a man, it'd be better for you to have a man in the Lord, instead of just going out and get with another unbeliever. Okay? It says, but she is happier if she so abide after my judgment. And I think also that I have the Spirit of the Most High. That's right. And that's why he was able to give certain decisions like that. But you have people that have a problem with the Apostle Paul. They don't believe in the majority of his letters, because some of them, are mad because they can't have long hair. Some of them are mad because they can't cover their head when they're speaking, or whatever the excuse may be that they use to not want to deal with the writings of the Apostle Paul. And the Apostle Paul was inspired directly from Yahushua himself. Yahushua came and converted him himself. So who the hell are you? All right, so you know what? I was going to hit a few other points as far as duties of a woman. But we've done lessons on that, and Lord's will, I could do another lesson on that. But this is just to answer the sister's question. Matter of fact, I'll read a question one more time and close out with that. She wrote, hello, Apostle. I know this is off topic, but what does an Israelite woman do if her man is wicked and he knows the truth, but he still smokes weed? And I understand a man is over his wife, but he's been using it as like nothing I say, not trying to usurp authority, really matters when it's something serious, not pretty. I only been in this truth for like 3 months. I just want to be in order, but my husband makes it hard. Hearing this word made me change my hearted ways. Please, Apostle, can you do a lesson on it if you will? Sorry for the long comment. Just been quiet because I don't talk to anybody about this, because I know it's not wise as a woman to talk to other people about this, because it'll cause contention, and my ex-friends be like, girl, leave that, and get someone else. And she's right in saying that she doesn't tell everybody her business with a man, because that's nobody's business but theirs. And this is why a lot of women have issues and problems, because they go and they tell their business with their man to their friends, and their friends give some bugged out opinion, and then the woman ends up breaking up with her husband, and then she ends up being miserable because she listened to some clowns that don't have a man. You're going to figure. Anyways, Satan finally left. They took over the spot I usually sit at. Now they finally left, 2 demons. So like, I'm just thinking out loud. This is the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 5, verse 11. But the younger widows refuse, for when they have begun to wax wanton against Yahushua, they will marry, having damnation, because they have cast off their first faith. And this is the point here. And with all, they learn to be idle. And that's the worst thing that a woman can have, is too much time on her hand. This is why they take care of the house and the cooking and the cleaning and the babies, because that filled their time. These women today, they do nothing but just roam around aimlessly. That's what the scripture say, give not a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad. It says, and withal they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house. It says, and not only idle, but tattlers also, and busybodies. The Lord hates a busybody and a tattler. And what's a tattler? She's telling her their business about the man and this, that, and the other. You know, then her and the man get cool again, and now everybody's talking shit about your man because you didn't have the discipline to keep your goddamn mouth quiet, you know, about that situation. You know? It says, speaking things which they ought not. See? I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully. Yeah. Because when you do that, you cause strife, contention, unnecessary matters. It says, for some are already turned aside after Satan, and the majority of these women are already turned aside after Satan. Satan got them right in the palm of their hands like he wants them. But the sisters that are trying their best that they can, he's trying to get them. And none of us are perfect. Just do the best that you can and hope for salvation, just like we are. That's just like we're doing. And that's pretty much it on that. So I'm going to end it off there. You know, I pray that this lesson was edifying. I pray that, you know, if any sisters ever had questions about that, you know, that answered their question. And I pray most of all that it answered the sister's question. If I remember, I'll try to copy the link and put it as a link to her question. You know, so with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified. Sisters also, to the next time I say shalom.